guys, thanks so much for watching The Social Life. It feels so good to be back. It's been a long time. And if you're on my newsletter, you know what's been going on. So anyhow, let's jump right into Real Talk Tuesday. Today, I have a question by Next Level Training Institute, and he wants to figure out how to have a for-profit run inside of your nonprofit. Now, a lot of people have asked if you can have a for-profit side to your nonprofit, so I thought I'd take today to just answer that question. And the short answer to that is yes, you can. Now, with that, there are a few pros and cons that go along with that, as always. And then I will give you my final, impression of what I think at the very end as a conclusion to this video, so that you can go on and make a decision as to whether you would want to do this or not for your organization. So the first part of that is absolutely, yes, it's possible. They are called for-profit subsidiaries of a nonprofit. And what that allows you to do is start this for-profit aspect of your nonprofit. Now, one of the things you have to remember is that the big thing that you have to remember is unrelated business income tax. So that is how the IRS looks at your revenue that comes in from this for-profit. So it will take that amount and it will tax you on the revenue for that for-profit subsidiary. So even though your nonprofit is tax exempt, that doesn't mean that this unrelated revenue coming in from your for-profit subsidiary would be tax exempt as well. So essentially, you're starting another business inside of your nonprofit. If it makes sense because you are doing something that's directly related to your mission and you have a for-profit side of it, say you start a t-shirt, say you start selling t-shirts or something on the side, and you're a person who provides shirts to the homeless, and that's part of something that's part of your mission, but also creates a different stream of revenue. That would be something that would be considered, just selling merchandise or selling paraphernalia from your organization. That would still come in as a donation to your organization, minus the goods and services that they received, meaning that they paid for that t-shirt. Now, my understanding of the unrelated business income tax portion is that if you're doing something unrelated to your mission and you start a for-profit subsidiary, then that will be taxed based on estimated tax from the IRS, or it could be taxed just as regular revenue coming in through your for-profit under the nonprofit parent. So I want to flesh this out a little bit more, just so that you kind of have a good understanding of what this unrelated business income tax piece of it is, what a for-profit subsidiary is, and what your options are. So let's first talk about why you would even want to have a for-profit inside of your nonprofit. So you might want to start a for-profit if you want to avoid any sort of tax and liabilities coming through your nonprofit. Maybe you're making too much money from your unrelated business activities, and that it might alert the IRS that you are doing something with your nonprofit, bringing in more funds, because really with your nonprofit, you're supposed to be bringing in funds from, say, grants, public funds, any sort of fundraising that is very directed at your charitable cause. Because it is charitable, you are supposed to be getting funds from the public to support your mission. So when you start doing for-profit activities, the IRS wants to make sure you're staying within the 501c3 confines for the exemption status, and that you're following all of the rules, and obviously not doing something that would not be right for that status. You also want to do this if you want to take on for-profit activities that are not related to your nonprofit parent mission. So some of the cons are that you are essentially starting another business. That's one thing. So now you have two businesses to run and two businesses to keep track of, which a lot of people do, and you would need to have a completely separate bank account. You need to keep it as a completely separate entity altogether. So you would need a completely separate board to help run this new for-profit subsidiary. So there are a lot of things that are going to make it a little bit more difficult for you, but it certainly can be done. For instance, when I say separate, it means that if you are sharing resources, say you're sharing an office space or anything like that with each other as far as your nonprofit and the for-profit subsidiary, there would need to be a written agreement in place for the two of you to work together, even though they're both your own business. The nonprofit parent would have majority of the control, but you would really need to make sure that you're protecting yourself as far as liabilities and tax requirements and things like that for your for-profit subsidiary. Now, as I told you, I would give you my conclusion and my thoughts at the very end. So my thought on this is that it's really messy, guys. Like, I think you could really get messed up trying to keep these two things together. I think it's definitely worth sitting down with a lawyer and figuring this out, and you would need someone that is a corporate or nonprofit attorney, or both would be ideal, to talk about this kind of stuff and figure out how it could work best for your specific situation, because there is no specific way to set it up so that that every person that wants to do it everyone's safe. There's no specific way to set it up like that. I think it really is on a case-by-case basis. Even the unrelated business income tax, there is no clear amount that you need to make or can't make in order for it to be considered too much or too little for your nonprofit to come under scrutiny. So to me, that just says, hey, leave it alone. If you want to start a for-profit business, start your for-profit business completely separate. Like, it shouldn't even be part of the nonprofit at all. Now, if your for-profit business wants to donate to your nonprofit business, that's great. I think that's a great way to do things. But I don't think that starting a nonprofit and then creating a for-profit within that nonprofit does any good for any sort of nonprofit organization. I think it really just kind of alerts the IRS to you and could potentially get you into some trouble if you're not extremely cautious and careful about what you're doing. Since we are tax exempt, it's very important to protect that tax exempt status by making everything very clear. All of your funds that come in, you need to know exactly where they're going. There can't be any blurring of lines when you have a tax exempt organization. So yes, if you have a good idea for a for-profit, go and create that for-profit as its own entity, not as a for-profit subsidiary of your nonprofit. Just go create a whole new business, get a whole new corporation number, EIN number, everything that you would need to do to get a business set up, go do that for your for-profit. And then if your for-profit wants to donate to your nonprofit, that's what I would recommend doing. And then your nonprofit can bring in those funds as public funds that were given to you, and as the for-profit you can write those off. As a nonprofit, you can take those in as tax exempt and do what you want with it for your nonprofit organization. But I would certainly say the very short answer and my feeling on this is to keep them completely separate. I would not do a for-profit subsidiary if it were up to me, or if you were asking me. So that's the long answer to my short yes. Next Level Training Institute, I do hope that really answered your question. And I'm sorry it was so convoluted, but there was so much information to get in there. I wanted to try to flesh it out. But again, I am not a lawyer and I cannot provide legal advice to you guys, but that would be my understanding of creating a for-profit under a nonprofit, and that would be my advice on whether or not you should start one. And that advice would be to speak to a corporate attorney or a nonprofit attorney before making that decision. So anyway, I hope that helped. And if you guys are interested, I did open up my beta, the Unleash Your Purpose course And if you're interested in doing that, you can email me directly and I will send you over the link. Now get out there and unleash your something amazing. Oh, also, if you are not part of the Social Life Tribe, go join us there. And if you are not on the Social Life Diaries newsletter, sign up there on my website at ashleytate.com, and I will see you guys then. Thanks so much for watching.